Peace and love. The capital A is here. I gave an intro, and of course, some of you who are watching or listening will absolutely know you by the breadth of your work throughout the decades. It's an elementary way to start, but if you wouldn't mind, I wanted to give space for you to introduce yourself to the listeners and watchers as you present yourself to the world. You know, sometimes we just read off the bio, and that's not, always how we feel that day.
What's going on, world? This is Masta Ace from Brooklyn, New York City. Been in the music business for over 30 years. I don't know how many albums I've put out. I lost count, somewhere around 12, 13. But yeah, I've been in this game for a minute, and I've seen a lot. I know a lot, and hopefully I can share some of that knowledge with you guys.
Yeah, I appreciate you for that. I want to kind of start at the end, or where we are today, if you don't mind. I know that you've recently premiered a musical. Some might say a hip hop musical, but a musical, right? Called The Falling Season, which is the same title as one of your recent albums. But you largely conceived and wrote the stage play, the stage performance in association with Rhymes Over Beats is the name of the production company.
Correct.
Would you love to share the concept of that show? How what led to it? How it came together? And the storyline, what people should expect when this show, and we'll talk about where it might eventually pop up.
So I've been writing it for about 6 years. It's loosely based on 3 of my albums, Disposable Arts, A Long Hot Summer, and The Falling Season. I say loosely based because all those albums have storylines in them, and it doesn't necessarily follow the storylines on the album, but there are characters. If you're familiar with my albums enough, then you know that there are certain characters on the skits, and what I've done is kind of brought those characters to life in this musical. And it's a story of a young man who is trying to, he's about to be in his senior year of high school. It's the summer before his senior year in high school. He's trying to be the first in his family to go to college. And there are some unforeseen circumstances around his life that are putting all of these hopes and dreams that he has in jeopardy. And the story kind of takes you through the summer before his senior year and all of the craziness that happens right when he thinks he's about to leave Brooklyn and go out and see the world and, get a college degree.
Yeah.
His world kind of comes crashing down right at the very beginning of the story. And we had 2 stage readings of it on June 1st and June 2nd at Theater Row in Manhattan, New York City. And it was very well received by hip hop heads, journalists, and Broadway types alike. Yeah. We had a good cross section of different people in that room, in those rooms, and the overall feedback was really positive.
That's dope. So when you say characters and stories, obviously this is a question you've been asked and answered, but how much of your personal life, how much do you pull from folks and how much is sort of, I don't know, fictionalized, for lack of a better word, to kind of in the albums, and then translating obviously to the stage play?
So I think there are aspects of the main character that definitely mirror my life, and then there are other aspects that are completely made up. Yeah. The grandmother character and the mother character, those are familiar to me because I'm really referencing my grandmother and mother and the way that I was raised with those 2 women. There's an uncle character, which I have 2. I grew up with 2 uncles, but there's one uncle. So I did have the uncle. But this uncle in this story is a lot more. He's kind of a piece of crap of an uncle. My uncles weren't nearly as bad as this guy.
Got you.
is. But
they come up to you after, man, I wasn't that bad. Those based after me, man.
Yeah, I know. I won't even. That's why I didn't use their names or anything, because I didn't want them to think that it was them.
Yeah.
But it was kind of just important that there was an uncle character in the room, in the story, because I have one in my story.
Yeah.
And just being a kid from the hood that was pretty good in school, but his environment didn't really promote that or respect that. That's also an aspect of my life, which I kind of speak about on my song "Young Black Intelligent."
Right.
And so, all these little elements I kind of pulled from different songs, different albums, and just kind of melted it all together into this musical.
You said you've been working on it for many, many years. So it was something that you were, I don't know, back of the head or slowly developing. What kind of pushed it over the edge to say, oh, we can make this happen. We can actually do this?
I had So I had been kind of like loosely writing like a screenplay,
Right.
and I had kind of started to sketch out a screenplay for what I thought might be like a made for TV movie or something like that. And then one of the guys that I traveled on the road with, Power Malu, Baby Power,
Mm,
from the Lower East Side, he mentioned that there was a theater company that had been newly formed that were looking for hip hop artists to bring stories to the stage. And they were having a party, a big like launch party, and he brought me with him to this party. And the director, Patrick Blake, was on stage, and he kind of said, we're looking for artists that have compelling stories that they want to bring to the stage. So I immediately started thinking about this screenplay that I've been writing, and I was like,
right.
maybe I can adapt that to the stage. After that party, I immediately started kind of the gear started turning. I was talking to Power about my idea. He's like, "Yo, try it," I got my hands on some script writing software because up to that point I didn't have script writing software. I was just
Right.
kind of writing in my laptop. And so once I got the script writing software and I got that structure, then I was like, okay. And I just started basically focusing the story around a stage and around these characters. About a year in, I was only maybe two or three scenes into the whole thing, and it was just going really slow. So
Mm,
Patrick Blake, he would check in with me from time to time. How's it going? Are you making progress? And I'm like, yeah, but it's kind of slow because I've been touring. I'm on the road, and when I'm on the road, I haven't really been writing like that. And he's like, I'm gonna put you with a dramaturg, and I'd never heard that term before. I'm gonna put you with a
mm,
dramaturg, and she's gonna help you complete the story. Not well, complete the musical by having sessions with you on a weekly basis. And so that's what we did. Her name is Kate Camerata. And from that point, after that first year, she was basically once a week, we would meet either in person or
right.
over the phone or over Zoom. And we would read the new, the new parts of the story that I had written. And once I got the pressure of having to
Right.
have something done by the next week, then
Right.
then it started to really move because I didn't want to, you know, look like I was slacking,
Right.
you
The
know,
accountability of it,
accountability. And
Yeah.
so and once I had that, it really made it start to go. And so every single week when we met, I had to have a new part. Okay, this is what I worked on this week, and we
Right.
read that new part. And she gave me tons of feedback. She definitely gave me feedback, direction. She teaches theater at the college level,
Mm,
Stony Brook, and then now Baruch, I think university she's at. And so she understands very clearly what the structure of a musical is supposed to be,
right.
what the purpose of the scenes are, the characters are. And so I would just use my own instincts, and then she might point out, certain aspects of what I wrote that might not work because of X, Y, or Z.
Yeah.
And so I'll be like, okay, because I don't know, I'm not formally trained in theater, so I don't know. So
Right.
she would give me that feedback on like kind of what's expected, what the kind of the rules are, and then I would go, okay, cool, and I would go back and I would fix her feedback and come back, and that's how we got here. And 6 years later, we got a completed musical. We've have a wonderful, incredible cast, a brilliant director, Todd Underwood, who um, we're excited. He's also a choreographer, so he's going to be able to put together the dance numbers and all of that. Like
Mm,
he's like next level with it. So,
yeah. Yeah.
but we're excited, man. We're excited.
That's pretty. It's got to be. There's probably a wide. Obviously, you're a prolific writer. You know how to write. You know how to write songs. But then that structure has got to be the part that's like, I gotta either condense, or how everyone says you got to throw away your babies. You got to condense, take stuff out, try to form it, because you don't have the expansive world of
Right.
a wide open imaginative canvas that you do when you're writing a song.
The first draft of this musical, we had our first table read at March of 2020, right before the lockdown, and I was at like 160 pages,
Mm-hmm.
which you know they told me like, listen, a 2 hour musical is about 100 pages.
Okay.
So they're like, this is going to be 3 hours. Like, you're going to have to chop
It's an
this down.
opus.
Right. So
Yeah.
You know, so then it became the challenge became keeping the story intact, keeping the characters intact, but reducing the pages. I just was, I overwrite. So
Yeah.
the conversations were like just really intense and detailed. Like I like detail. So there was like way too much detail in the original version that wasn't necessary. So
Right.
once I read through it, once I began to read through it again and chop down the pages, I realized, okay, this character kind of doesn't need to say all of this. They can say this and mean the same thing. And
Okay.
so
Right.
that was
I
my
see.
process. That
Yeah.
was my process. Yeah.
How much how much rap and how much music is in the musical? How, what's kind of how do those, not to like go through the whole thing, but
Yeah.
how do the songs punctuate, right? Because you're telling a story, but then the songs, I would imagine, kind of punctuate and emphasize certain parts of the story. How often does that occur? How much of the musical is music?
So it's about 14 or 15 songs.
Okay.
And the majority of them, probably 90% of them, are just straight rap joints with the different characters rapping. Um, and I learned from my dramaturg, Kate, that the purpose of a story in a musical is to push the story forward, right? So as an MC, when I do my albums and I'm writing a song and I have a topic, I can kind of go anywhere I want with it. I'm going to
Right.
be super lyrical and use a bunch of metaphors and make it sound really cool and make stuff rhyme.
Right.
And that's what I was doing initially. And she's like, this is cool. These rhymes are, these lyrics are nice. They're real poetic and all that, but they don't push the story forward. So I had to really rethink
Mm.
my story, my songwriting mindset had to change because I had to realize that everything I'm writing in the song has to advance the storyline. And
Okay.
once I understood that, then I was able to, execute these songs in the right way, and still
Mm.
make them super entertaining. And some are funny, and some are just heartfelt and heartwarming, and all of that. And so there's a good mixture of, inspirational story songs, funny songs, um, tearjerker kind of joints. Like there's a few different joints like that. That
Yeah. The whole range, the human
the whole
experience.
range.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's dope. A quick, little couple questions about the path to the musical. We're not here for a long interview, so we can't talk about, again, the breadth of your work. I do encourage artists and folks who are in the business or want to be in the business to listen to some of your longer interviews where you go into the kind of trials and tribulations of being an artist signed to the labels and all the, things that come with that. But a big part of your your music business story is the battle to not compromise your art for commerce, right?
Right.
It's led to some of the more recent projects. Maybe starting with, I think, Disposable Arts, which I heard you say somewhere was sort of like, at the time, you may have considered that your swan song. You were maybe
Yeah.
saying, this is kind of it, but I want to do it on my own terms. I heard you say somewhere.
Exactly.
So, and then that actually led to this incredible run of several albums since then, and then the musical. So this has been, and I don't want to, detective your whole career, but it would seem to me that this is the time of your career where you've been able to finally put you authentically into all of your work 100% without having to worry about the confines of the music business and such.
Right.
Is that accurate? And how does that feel as an artist to have had such a long career, but now be in this creative space where you could be you?
Yes, completely accurate. When you're signed to a major and they're putting money into your career, they're going to want certain styles, certain music, certain features, certain, messages in the music. And, you find yourself as an artist trying to appease people in suits that sit in offices that don't go to hip hop clubs,
Right.
And so Disposable Arts that was when I officially became an independent artist with my own label, with my own, imprint, and the guardrails were off. I could do exactly what I wanted to do. So from 2001 forward, all the projects that I released were just me doing exactly what I wanted to do, what I thought felt right, sounded right, was a perfect representation of me. Not that my previous work wasn't a representation of me, it's just that within that work, there was compromise happening all the time, and there was too much thinking. Well, this if I want to get on the radio, I got to have
Right.
a joint like this.
Right.
All that had got thrown out the window, and that's why I became really my freest. And that from that point, 2001 was the point where really I kind of redefined my career, and I got an extension that ended up being it's going to be 22-year extension on a career,
Mm.
which you just don't see in hip hop. I
Right.
had a career from 1990 to 95,
Right.
96, and that was 3 albums. And people knew who I was. I had songs on the radio, the whole bit. And kind of most artists at that point, that's when things kind of start to kind of go downhill. For me, in '01, when I dropped and kind of started over and had that reset, I picked up all of these brand new fans that didn't know anything about the first 6 years of my career. They knew
Right.
about me from Disposable Arts forward.
Mm-hmm.
They discovered the other albums later, but it was like, oh, they thought I was a new artist in '01 when I came out.
Right.
And that was kind of great because now these people are in their 30s and they're talking about, man, I came. You're the first hip hop show I ever came to. I was 18 years old, my first time going to a show, and I came to your show. Now I'm 35. I got a wife and kids.
Mm-hmm.
And so hearing those kinds of stories. And then the other day, this past Saturday, I did a autograph signing at a store out here. I mean, at a restaurant out here in New Jersey. And these two 16-year-old kids showed up. I'm like,
Mm.
man, you're like, man, we love your music. I said, how old are you guys?
Right.
We're 16. I said, how do you even know my music?
Right.
It just blew my mind. But they were like there just to like
That's wild.
meet
I
me.
think I was 16 when I first heard, the Symphony.
You
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, that's crazy. Yeah,
So these two
yeah. Wow.
these two bright faced 16-year-old kids, like they're smiling, they're just happy to meet me. We love your music. We listen to it all the time, and they wanted to get something signed. They each bought a shirt. Like it was just like, wow, this is crazy different. I mean, you just don't expect it. You don't expect it. Not this deep into a career.
Yeah, no, absolutely. In many ways, you're sort of a model for all of the things that you hear people our age say they wish hip hop had, right? Oh, I wish the older artists were still making new music. Checkbox. I wish
Right.
that, they were changing to the times, but not changing completely, right? Like adapting a little bit. Checkmark. Oh,
Yeah.
I wish they would branch off and do things more creatively in other aspects. Musical. Checkbox. Oh, I wish that, they would open their arms to young people and not dismiss them like the old folk old heads tend to do. Checkmark. So like you're doing all these things and you're seeing sort of like the results of that, I guess. And you're right.
Absolutely.
Like who else? Not nobody, but it's a tough thing to do in this genre. So
Yeah, it is.
somehow you're doing it. So it leads me to another question, because one of the other, besides the label trials and tribulations, you've been very vocal about your personal health journey.
Yeah.
Over the years, as a fan, as someone who knows you, I want to know how you're doing. Just man, hope you're doing all right. And if you just share whatever you want to share about that your health situation, your journey with it. Again, I just wanted to give you space to do that. I know it's important to you.
Yeah. I was diagnosed with MS 23 years ago, and certainly I've made so many changes in my diet and health perspective, health and wellness perspective, in terms of not just what I eat, but my movement, being active, staying active. I went to the gym yesterday. I was doing bench and squats and stuff. Like I'm my goal is to keep my body strong, so that I can run around on these stages for years and years. That's what I'm hoping for. So, but just major changes in diet and lifestyle. The drinking, I kind of put the drinking to the side. Not that I was ever a heavy drinker, but it's got to be like a major, New Year's, I might, drink two glasses of champagne, 3 glasses of champagne, something like that. But
right.
I just knew that in order for me to keep this disease at bay, I couldn't do things to my body that would make it be active and want to move around and expand and spread.
Yeah.
And I've been fortunate. I've had, I get MRIs pretty much every year. I get an MRI of my brain and spine, and thank God, the last 4 MRIs have had no changes. So the disease it's stable. It hasn't gone away, but it hasn't advanced,
Right.
and I think that is a testament to what I've been doing with my diet and exercise
Right.
regimen. And so I stay with, even when we're on the road. I
Mm-hmm.
take care of myself. I eat the right stuff. I use the hotel gym. I use the hotel sauna. Like whatever I can do to keep
Right.
my mind in the right space. I do those things, and I encourage anybody listening, to this interview to treat your body right. Don't wait for a crazy diagnosis to say, "Oh, I got to make changes." Like
True.
you can do that stuff now. Like we're not 30, we're not 25 anymore. When you hit after north of 30, things start to change and stuff starts happening, and
Mm-hmm.
we got to make sure that we stay on top of our well-being, and it's up to us. Who else is going to do it besides us?
Yeah, and I appreciate you being vocal about it and telling people. Obviously there's a stigma, and to be honest, in certain communities more than others about trusting the doctor, trusting the healthcare system, and I get that, and that's important, and those things are real.
Yeah.
But also, you got to kind of balance that with the need to be in touch and in tune with your body and your health.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I don't. I'm definitely not waving any flags for the healthcare system. I definitely have my own questions, doubts about things that we're told. Every time I go to the doctor, we got the new flu vaccine, we got the
Mm-hmm.
we got the what the shingles vaccine, we got the pneumonia vaccine. I'm like, no,
Mm-hmm.
thank you, no, thank you to all of it. I'm good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You have to just kind of use your head, and certain things make sense and certain things don't.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I get it. That's fair. Yeah, that's fair. Fun fact, I'm a living kidney donor. I've donated one of my kidneys. My daughter, actually. Yeah, thank you. And
wow.
yeah.
How's she doing?
She's great. We're 4 years out from it. She was 27 at the time. And
wow.
She's doing, she had a whole vasculitis thing, kidneys failed, and I was a match and we did it, and it took about 1.5 years to go through the whole process and such, but we're 4-something years out. She should be able to have it for 10, 12, 15 years. I'm, except that I need to go to the gym a little bit more, but I'm perfectly healthy. There's no ramifications to me.
Good.
And I hope that in 10 years when she may need another one, because she's young and they don't last forever basically, but they could last a long time. By then they'll be 3D printing kidneys. It'll be fine.
Right.
So, but I say that to say that I always throw that in, like, not to pat myself on the back or get kudos, but because you might know someone that needs a kidney transplant. There might be some of your family, and you might be wary of. That's a huge thing. Like, can I live properly after that? You mentioned cut out drinking. I remember I was like, but I can still drink, right? They're like, yeah, it's not your liver. I'm like, okay, good. Because then I would have been like, is there another way? Like,
right. You don't want to cut that out.
Nah, come on, man. Like, I can't, no. But same thing. I got to cut down all the things just so that I don't get, obviously you get diabetes or anything like that. That affects your kidney heavy. So I have to watch my health as well. But I want to be vocal about it, because just hearing somebody that they know and respect, an artist, a creative like yourself, and say, "Yo, man, you went through this," but the reason why you're still able to dance around, and not dance around, but jump around stages, is because you said, "This is my life, my lifestyle, and I have to do what I have to do." And there's just no ifs, ands, and buts about it. And that's how I feel about, you preparing to deliver a kidney to someone. You got to cut down on things. You got to, make sure you're healthy so that your kidney's healthy, because you're passing it on to your loved one. So, I like to have these discussions. I think it's important. So I respect you for that.
It's a great story.
Thank you. Similarly, although not as, it's sort of a low note, and I hate to go there now, but you see my shirt, everyone's watching, I'm repping Biz, right? I'm repping Biz Markie on the shirt today. Nice. One of my, hip hop superheroes. I'm from Long Island. So, we loved Biz. And I know you had a special relationship with him musically and personally. And of course, the documentary is out, All Up in the Biz. Yeah. And there was that part, that whole storyline through there with the use of the puppet, representing Biz in his last days and such. And then you obviously being the one the genesis of that puppet as Biz, thing. I just want to know, like, your feelings on it. Was this something that you were approached about? Did you know about it? How did that genesis that started with you, in a way, found a way into this documentary? I thought very poignantly. I thought it was really creative and touching. What was your involvement, or what were your thoughts on it?
that was that the puppet vision was completely Sasha Jenkins, the
Right.
producer. I didn't know about the puppet until I came to film my parts. The day I came to
Mm,
film my part, I saw the puppet. And I was like, oh wow, like, and
wow.
I think he wanted me to kind of be shocked about it. So when I walked on set and I saw the puppet sitting there, I'm like, holy crap, like
Right.
this is incredible. And we had a quick
Wow.
discussion. He told me it was the guys from Crank Yankers had made this puppet, and the actual Crank Yanker puppeteer was there. Like he was the one
Doing it. Wow.
operating the puppet.
What a throwback,
And
because you know how big they were too back in like the
hell
day.
yeah,
What
hell
a
yeah.
full circle kind of combination.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. And
Wow.
we shot that part, the Dear Biz rhyme. We shot that several takes. We did a few takes with music because I have a version that actually has a beat to it.
Okay.
And we did a few a cappella. And he told me like a few weeks later, he's like, I think we're going with the a cappella version. It's just more heartfelt. And so I was like, no problem. And so the other version will be a bonus track on a new album with me and Marco Polo, which is
Oh, dope.
coming out later this year.
Wow. Dope.
Yeah.
That must have been quite a day for you.
Yeah, it was. It was
Yeah.
definitely a couple emotional moments, but
Yeah.
got through it.
I thought it was brilliantly done. I think that might have been the point in the when I'm watching this thing. I'm on a plane. I'm probably like, don't look at me right now. I just gotta, you know what I mean? I think it was
Yeah.
remarkable, and I thought Sasha's vision worked out. I know some people were weirded out by it. I'm like, nah, man, you must not know the whole thing, because it felt right, I guess.
To me, it was the best way because they wanted to tell the story of his last days in the hospital.
Right.
And it by using the puppet, it made it a little lighter, not as heavy as if the cameras were, I didn't need to see him in that state. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Fair.
So having the puppet there lightened it. I still got to learn about his last days, but the puppet just lightened that whole thing.
Yeah.
And it was like the perfect thing to do.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Yeah.
Dope work, man.
Thank you.
I know I don't want to keep it too much longer. I just want to say, fans of hip hop know that this was the 50th anniversary of the genre. It's been celebrated all year, or the symbolic anniversary, right? Some people, obviously there's no one starting point. They'll debate whether this artist or that artist should have been celebrated, or this element or that element was represented properly. Whether we should even celebrate the capitalizing of the culture so much. There's a lot of talk, about this year. But I guess as someone who's been active in the business and the culture side and the genre for a good amount of those 50 years, I mean, I think it was, I have it here. Take a look around. It's 32 years. Is that right?
It's 90. So
yeah.
Sounds right.
I'm not trying to, make you feel old, because I remember buying it as a 20-something. So I'm make me feel old while I'm saying it too. But generally speaking, what is the symbolic anniversary, this 50th anniversary, mean to you when you look back on your life and your career, and how much it's been a part of both?
I mean, it's pretty amazing. I'm okay that they picked that date. Just because it's a date that it's a date that we can point to. We have a physical flyer that we can look at and say, yes, this party happened on this date, and it was a great night, and all of these elements were in the room.
Right.
There's there's definitely parties in New York City that predate that party.
Right.
That happened around, and not just in the Bronx and Queens and Brooklyn. Those things were happening all around the city at the same time. But because we don't have documentation maybe of other events, I accept this date and this party as a fair estimate of a starting point. I'm okay with that, with them deciding to do that, because like I said, it was documented. Now, if somebody wants to pull up a flyer from 71 and, say this party happened in 71, then we could talk about that too. But I think it's pretty much etched in stone now that's the anniversary, and we'll celebrate that as such. That 1973 date. We'll celebrate it. We'll celebrate it that way. And I'm old enough to have been around in 73. I was a young kid, and they were doing parties in the jams in the park in Brooklyn, in my neighborhood in Brownsville. And I remember those parties, and it was mostly disco that was getting played. But I remember the older guys, DJing in the park, and you know those memories stay with me. It's just great to know that I literally was there from the beginning. I was literally there. I might not have been an artist, but I was there. I was watching it happen. I was watching it grow. I was breakdancing, popping. I was writing graph in my neighborhood on the elevator in the building, on the walls and stuff. And I tried DJing before I tried rapping. So I got a chance to live every aspect. We all beatbox. We all tried to beatbox.
Right. Facts.
When our boy was rapping, we was trying to do the beatbox. We all did it. So, got a chance to touch all of the phases, all of the, levels of this culture and try it all out. And I felt like I was better at rapping, so I stuck with that.
You're still sticking with it.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. I'll go with this. This is sort of a final tirade that I go on at the end of these shows. Actually, I found something. This was a Redditor, some random folk on Redditor who said that the EMC song Winds of Change was one of the first hip hop tracks that made me realize there's more to hip hop than what I'm hearing on the radio. It's another thing that we always talk about. We want more than what's on the radio. And most of us who are, we still electronically crate dig. We know that there's more than what's on the radio. And you've been doing this music your entire life. Your recent work, more recently, a song called Home in America, lets you, has you opening up about, political stuff that's happening in real life, very current. And we see that hip hop has always been able to be used as sort of a storytelling vehicle or a cautionary tale, and have political, social impact. People think that that's not really happening anymore, but it happens, just not on the radio.
Right.
We see hip hop being used as a tool for mental health therapists to connect with young people in different ways and find a common ground. And, you have ways to them express themselves and open up. That's the kind of people that I interview on the show typically. I usually won't speak to artists because there's a lot of places they'll speak to artists unless you're doing something kind of different, intersectional, which you do. And that's why I'm really honored you took the time.
Absolutely.
And you've been able to do it and connect to people intergenerationally. You got people in their 50s and you got people that are 16, as you talked about today, which is extremely important and testament to obviously the fact that hip hop can touch so many different people in real impactful, positive ways, as opposed to what people sometimes give credit for. Right.
Right.
So I say all that to say the name of this show is called Hip Hop Can Save America, right? Which is a very lofty idea. And we may need more than just hip hop to do so. But taking in all I've said, looking over your whole career, your personal connection to people, what do you think we need to consider when we consider hip hop as a way to effectively improve lives and livelihoods and communities? Do you feel that hip hop can help save America?
I know that hip hop can help save America. The issue is what you just spoke about, which is the radio play. We have to be able to bring these messages to the radio. There has to be some sort of balance to the music that people are hearing. If people were hearing songs like Home in America on the radio and many, many, many other positive songs, on the radio every day, the same way some of this other kind of mindless music that's played over and over again, that they try to drill it into your head. The same way those songs are drilled into your head, they could drill songs that are positive, uplifting, motivational. For whatever reason, I'll use the term the powers that be. They don't want those messages spread across our airwaves. And that's where that lies the problem, because in order to find this positive music, you have to dig and search for it.
Right.
And it shouldn't be that way. My song, Young Black Intelligent, which was back in 2016, right. 17. When I released that song, there were several people on my timeline when I posted it that were like, this should be nominated for a Grammy. This should at least be nominated for a Grammy. And
right.
It's they don't understand that that's all about politics. That's not about the creative merit of the song. That's not about the messaging of the song. The powers that be don't care about any of that. So for me to get that nomination or to even get considered for that, I would have to have been a song about something completely negative. And that's what's kind of sad and troubling.
Right.
So it's clear that hip hop can save America, but the powers that be don't want that to happen. They don't want that to happen. It could save a whole generation of young people,
Right.
but instead they want to pump a different message to young people. You know, one that's about partying and twerking and drinking and smoking and taking pills and all of that. That's on the radio. I could turn on the radio now and point out a whole bunch of those kinds of messaging that's in songs, but I can't hear young black intelligent anywhere on the radio, and that's a problem.
Yeah.
The answer is yes. Hip hop can save America.
Yeah.
Will they allow it to?
Right. Facts. I appreciate that perspective. I appreciate you and your work and your time. Lastly, what's coming with the Falling Season, the musical? Like, what are next steps? And we'll end where we started.
Yeah. We are in the process of reaching out to investors all around the world. The North Star for us is to open this thing in London sometime in the next year to 2 years. But in the meantime, I'd like to do a couple of workshop versions of it locally, maybe in Jersey. We had a good meeting with Newark Symphony Hall.
Oh,
and
dope.
just yesterday, my wife and I went over to the Billie Holiday Theater on Fulton Street in Brooklyn, which would be really the ideal place to do a workshop version, because the Billie Holiday Theater is located at the Restoration Plaza in Brooklyn, and that's actually, Restoration is actually in the script, as is Fulton Street. Like, there's several references to the main character. He lives in Bed-Stuy, so Fulton Street is mentioned in the story. Restoration is mentioned in the story. So, you know, it just would be an ideal, perfect place to have it.
Yeah.
So we also met with Brooklyn Academy of Music BAM as well.
Oh, okay.
And we're just gonna try to find the right fit to do it locally. It won't be like the full blown out, you know, fully built out stage,
right?
But it'll be a cool version of what is to come once we get to that next level, which is the West End in London.
Yeah, that'd be something.
Yeah.
So, were there to be any rich investors listening? You know, pay attention, tune in. Would they reach out to the production company, or how do they kind of find out more?
They can reach out to They can reach out to me. They can reach out to Rhymes Over Beats, which is on IG. Either or.
Okay. Just want, yeah, absolutely. And anything else coming from you that folks should know about? Anything you want to share? Let people know.
New album with me and Marco Polo.
That's dope.
Coming this year, coming December. Well, digitally December, and then the physical will be ready in January. The new album is called Richmond Hill. Look out for it. Masta Ace, Marco Polo, coming soon.
That's what's up. Thank you, sir. I appreciate your time, and I wish you all the best going forward.
All right, Manny. Thank you.